Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Yvonne, the lady with the hammer. I'm just uncovering the surprise of what I'm going to be working on today. This woman doesn't live very far from me. She contacted me to see if I wanted it. Her house was all mid-century modern. Beautiful desk, as you'll see in a moment. I couldn't find any stamps on it, no information on the back. You can see the top is Formica. It's in great shape. The drawers are in awesome shape, just need a little cleaning on the inside. I did find a piece for the drawer front. I'll replace those little handles, those little white handles you see. I'm just checking them out to see if there's anything left in the drawers, as I literally just picked this dresser up. Excuse me, desk, not dresser. That top looks fantastic. You can see there's veneer missing on the handles. But there's no veneer missing anywhere else. It's just on those handles right there. As you'll see, I'll show you the side in a minute. Nice joinery, look at that. Nice and clean, heavy wood. Couple of little scratches there, but that'll all be disguised when I oil it. Just checking out the construction. Oh, it's made really nice. Solid wood bottoms. Even this joinery on the back. Wood drawer slides. Fantastic construction. They just don't make it like that anymore. So I'm going to take these handles off. Just noticing the nice ribbing on the desk. So I was thinking about filling the holes, but if I fill the holes, there's no way to blend that in with all that striping on there, so you would see it. It would stick out like a sore thumb. And there's little metal things in the front of the dresser that the screw actually screws into. So you'd have to get those out and fill them, and then I didn't want to change the color of the desk. The desk is actually beautiful just by itself. So I'm trying to think of a way to enhance it. I'm going to change those little white knobs to black, and I'm going to do the front handles, which are those curved pieces you see right there. I'm going to do those in black as well. I'm going to leave the legs natural. I'm going to leave all the rest of it natural. I just think it looks fantastic. And we all know that the slotted screws from the old dressers are very difficult to get out. So I have a little tiny screwdriver trying to push on it to get it out. If you guys like this content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I noticed that over 90% of you are not subscribed. You know, I'm doing my best to start recording, do better recordings. Look at this desk, it's beautiful. I got all the handles removed, and now I'm going to be checking out the drawer front handles to see what needs to be repaired. I was going to re-glue that on, but all I have to do is use the putty. So now I'm going to check for loose veneer. So if I was doing a patch, a veneer patch, you would want to remove all the loose veneer so you can get the, cut the patch properly. You'd cut all those into nice squares, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to paint those. So I'm going to use putty on that. I switched over to the wood putty, plastic putty, or whatever you want to call it. It's horrible. I don't like it. I always use Bondo. I know how it works. It's easy to use. Here I am just cutting out the loose pieces of veneer, just to make the edges nice and square. And after you fill them, when you sand it, you want to make sure that you not only sand the patch, you want to get some of the wood sanded next to it. So when you sand, you'll sand down until you start seeing the edge of that patch. You want to go a little bit further down, that will blend it in. If you don't take that actual wood finish down some that's around it, you'll see the big patch. So that's obviously not what we want to do. We want to have it nice and blended in, nice and neat, because that's the first thing you see. You walk up to the dresser, boom, there's the handles. The desk. Boom, there's the handles. You don't want to see them all lumpy and bumpy and, oh, look, somebody tried to fix it. Yeah, that's not what we're going for. So there, I'm just checking out the rest of them. I somehow changed the settings on my husband's cameras and lost all the audio for this video. So I'm doing a voiceover. My first time. Seems like it's going okay. I don't know if you guys hear any noises in the background. I have a wind chime right where my forced hot air comes out, so it makes a little noise when the heater goes on, so you might hear that in the background. Yeah, very important to remove all that loose veneer and see how far I'm going back, because all of that is loose. And really, if you wanted to get, fancy and take all that veneer off, you could take all that veneer off. You could sand those down and you could stain them a different color. You don't have to do veneer repair. It depends on who you're doing it for and what you're doing it for. If it's for a customer and they want it to be repaired, then that's what you do. See, nice big spot, nice and open. This is the stuff that I'm not a fan of. I picked it up because it's already mixed. So I'm not a fan. It's goopy and it doesn't move very well. Like, it's not very smooth when you go to put it on. I use a little tiny palette knife, an angled palette knife that works fantastic when you use Bondo. You just take a little piece of cardboard, you throw your Bondo on there, you mix up a tiny bit, you get it on your things. If you need a little more, you mix a little more Bondo. This stuff here is like dry and it's almost like, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. It looks like peanut butter, but it's not that smooth. If you've watched my channel before, you can tell that when I do the Bondo, it's right on. I don't have to do a lot of fussing, so I'm not really sure how this stuff works. So here I'm trying to work it in, and you want to keep it proud, so you have plenty of material to sand back. Or you're gonna have to do multiple coats. Like, if I don't make enough Bondo, I put it on, I walk away, let it dry. I come back, I sand it. Any low spots, I hit with a little bit of Bondo, let them dry, boom, done. Quick, simple, easy. You don't need to fuss for a long time. I don't know if you guys can hear the bird singing. Yeah, see, it's just dry. It's just, I'm not a fan. And I will not be keeping it. I will be tossing it in the trash. even though it was $20 for that little tiny container. Nobody wants it. Nobody's going to use it. I don't like it. And you can get smaller containers, just like that, of the Bondo. Usually I buy a gallon at a time. But when I got down to the last quarter of my gallon of Bondo, it was getting a little weird. So I'm going to sand them down. See how it's lighter and darker? So usually that's an indication that that's wet. But this stuff is so weird. Yeah, 220. If you're not very good with a palm sander, do it by hand. Always wear hearing protection. Because if you don't have finesse with your hand sander, you need to do it by hand. You'll completely ruin these. I've been doing this for so long that it's very easy. See how it just chips right off? Just not a fan. Bondo doesn't do that. See, now I'm just repairing the extra little spots that I see that were holes, and then I'll sand them again. I set my timer because this was just a patch. So in 15 minutes it's supposed to be dry. But when you do it really thick, it's not going to be dry. So I knew that it would be all set in 15 minutes because I only put a little tiny bit on there. But you can see that I am sanding around the patch to make sure that I actually sand some of the wood so it's nice and smooth across. And like I said, you don't see big globs of that. See how it is? Sanded around there. I took the finish off. Best thing to do is feel with your hand. Worst comes to worst, do the hand sanding. Takes no time at all. Now, the wood that's been exposed around the patch has to have shellac on it or it will bleed through. So I'm just going to spritz it here with a little shellac. This is my favorite in the aerosol. I don't mess with the brush. All you have to do is spritz it a few times. Make sure you wear your respirator. Let it flash off, and then you can do another coat. Now I'll show you in a second that patch sucked in that shellac, and you can see where it makes it dry. See how it's nice and wet there? Just give it a second for it to flash off. And now I'm just going to let that dry. I use this Restore. It's basically like an oil. I use that to get in the cracks. It has a little bit of color in it, but it works fantastic. So you could use a scratch coat, an oil scratch coat, but this, I like this better, so I tend to use this more often. It also depends on the color of the furniture you're using. Do you have to do hand coloring? This, I do not. See how there's a scratch along the left-hand side there? This will all cover that. And it also nourishes the wood. You've got to make sure that you nourish your wood. We're in dry houses, AC running, heat running, and if you have forced hot air, your furniture is going to get real dry. So take your time. Get the right stuff to put on your furniture. Don't use furniture polish. That just builds up. It makes it a mess to get off. I'm just wiping off the excess. You don't want an oily film. So the top drawer has a little lip on it. It's like a puzzle. Which one goes where? Okay, we figured it out. Beautiful desk. I love it. And we're going to get to our first coat of paint. So when I put the cover back on my paint can, it banged the dust that's on my mat, and it all went all over my freshly painted drawer tops, handles. Doesn't matter how long the paint's been sitting, always make sure you stir it up really good. And then if you think you have it stirred up, stir it some more. Get the paint on, and then take care of your brush strokes. Make sure it's not dripping over the edges. So you have to be concerned about all sides. And you don't have to panic. Just take your time. Now I have a heater that blows behind me that heats my shop. So I have to be very careful that the heater is not blowing and blows these dry while I'm painting them. Now you can see, I might point it out, there's little nibs in the paint. See all the little spots? Because when I put the cover back on the paint can, when I was banging it on with the hammer, it all bounced off my mat and fell onto all the drawers, handles, while they were wet. So I sanded them down a little bit, got rid of the nibs, and then I'll do a couple more coats of paint. See, I just knocked the nibs down. You can see the dullness with the 220 sandpaper. You just want to do it real carefully. You don't want to dig into the existing paint that's already there. And the paint I'm using is enamel urethane. If you take your time and let it cure in between each coat, it dries hard as a rock. I'm feeling them to make sure that all the burrs are gone, all the little nibs in the paint. And I noticed when I held it up to the desk that you can see that part, so I had to paint that part and the side. And the cool thing is, the back of those are all numbered. Giving it a couple of coats here. So if you have any drips, you can take care of it right before it's completely dry. Yeah, see, there's numbers on all of them. 1 through 6. I thought it was pretty cool. Now you need to let them dry. You need to let them cure before you start handling them. So I'm just looking to see the numbers. I want to put them back in order. There is a finished side. The bottom side, as you can see right there, that's bright colored wood, goes down. See how that doesn't look very good? And I didn't notice it until I reinstalled it, so I'm going to paint those sides. Just those portions right there. There she is, looking great. I hope you guys like this. Give it a thumbs up. Stay tuned for the next project. I'll put in a before and after. Thank you guys. Have a blessed day.